Welcome. So, let's talk about intuition. Not as some kind of mystical power, but as a real, practical skill for finding clarity when your mind just feels, well, cluttered. We're going to use the timeless wisdom from Florence Scovel Shinn's The Game of Life and How to Play It to build a simple, modern framework that you can actually use today.
Have you ever been there? You get stuck in this mental loop, analyzing a problem from every single angle, trying to think your way to the right answer. But what usually happens? All that effort just creates more noise, and it ends up burying the very clarity you're searching for in the first place.
So the first step is really learning how to tune our own internal radio, right? We have to figure out how to distinguish all that static, that loud mental clutter of overthinking, from the clear, quiet signal of our own intuition.
In psychology, they actually have a name for this kind of repetitive circular thinking. It's called rumination. And that word comes from the way a cow chews its cud, just over and over and over again. It's an activity that keeps us stuck, just chewing on the problem instead of moving towards a solution.
And what are we chewing on most of the time? Well, it's usually worry, isn't it? And get this, a ton of research shows that the vast majority of the things we worry about, they never even happen. This endless what-if game just locks our attention on a stressful, imaginary future that almost never shows up.
So this is where Shinn presents a really powerful alternative: intuition. The word itself literally means to be taught from within. And she describes it as, well, it's not about logic or having to explain everything. It's more like an inner guidance system that simply and quietly just points the way. Okay, so this brings up a really important question, right? How do we know if we're hearing that quiet inner guidance or if it's just the loud, demanding voice of anxiety? Because at first they can feel pretty similar, but they come from completely different places.
Well, let's actually break down that contrast. On one hand, you've got that intuitive signal. It feels calm, centered, stable, and it's grounded in what's happening right now. Anxiety, on the other hand, that feels frantic, it's urgent, it's focused on all those future what-if scenarios. And you often feel it in your body, like tension, a racing heart, or just that restless energy.
This really just hits the nail on the head. Anxiety is loud. It's shouting. It's pushing you to react right now. But your true intuition, it's often just a whisper. It doesn't force anything on you. It tends to show up in those moments of stillness when the mind finally gets quiet enough to hear it.
So let's say you think you've heard that quiet whisper, that hunch. What do? How do you actually trust it without just taking some massive, scary leap of faith?
Well, according to Shinn, it all starts with you making the first move. You actively ask for clear guidance. Now, you're not forcing an answer. You're just asking for a definite lead, and then you practice waiting and paying attention for that hunch to show up.
And here's the best part, the really practical piece of this. You don't have to completely upend your life based on a feeling. You can check out the guidance by taking just one small, low-stakes action. Think of it like testing the waters, not diving headfirst into the deep end.
Okay, let's make this super concrete with a few examples. Let's say at work, you get a job offer. It ticks all the logical boxes, great salary, good title, but you just have this quiet feeling that it's not really aligned with your values. The small step isn't to reject the offer outright. It's just asking for one more day to think about it, creating a little space to listen to that inner signal.
Or how about in relationships? It could be that calm, clear feeling you get that a new person you've met isn't being totally honest. Now, this isn't that frantic feeling of social anxiety. It's more of a grounded knowing. So the small step isn't a big confrontation. It's just choosing to observe and gather a bit more information before you invest more of your time and energy.
And this can even show up in the smallest parts of our day, in our daily routines. Maybe you get a sudden, totally non-logical urge to try a new route on your daily walk. Following that little nudge could lead to an unexpected discovery or a cool encounter, just like in Shinn's book.
Okay, so how can we actually start practicing this? I want to share a really simple but powerful exercise you can use literally anytime, anywhere, to tune back into your own inner guidance.
It's just a simple 3-step reset. Here's how it works. First up, just pause. Take one slow, deep breath to interrupt all that mental noise. Second, ask. You can silently use Shinn's phrase or your own, something like, "What's the next right step?" And third, notice. Without any judgment, just pay attention to the quiet hunch or the feeling that comes after.
All right, so let's bring this all together. Here are the key things to remember. First, overthinking just creates noise that blocks clarity. Second,
Intuition is that quiet, calm signal, and it's always focused on the present moment. Third, anxiety is that loud, frantic noise focused on the future. Remember, you can test these intuitive leads with small, simple actions. And you can get better at this by practicing that simple act of pausing and asking for guidance every day.
So I want to leave you with a question to think about. What is one quiet hunch you can maybe listen to today? If you found this useful, our next explainer unpacks Shinn's law of non-resistance. And of course, you can always check out our full playlist on the game of life for more insights.